is Evelin, and I'm very, very proud to be here moderating today's session for communities. How sustainable development and education is more or less related to these communities anyway, how it is. Try to keep things clear and simple as much as possible. My everyday work relates with National Geographic magazine, which probably you have seen already. And I'm also co-founder of Estonian ecocommunity network, so some aspects of communities I really do know, but there is plenty of things that are happening all around Estonia, all around Europe, all around the world, every moment. So basically there's even not possible to know everything. And how to share different experiences. I guess this platform is one of the best ways to do it, just to share, just to speak out what has been done, and there is a floor for questions, there is a floor for a little discussion here, so let's try to see how it goes. And our first speaker today is Riinu Lepa, who is coming from eco-village Little Footprint, or Small Footprint, and her experience definitely is brand new because the community just started last year. But how this experience of setting up a community school has been there, how to do it as kind of smoothly as possible, what pros and contras have been there. So, Riinu, the floor is yours.
Hello everyone. Thank you for the introduction. I offered myself to come to the conference to speak about creating community school in an eco-village, even though the experience that I have is really small. We just started last autumn, so we have actually had experience of setting the school up for 7 months. But it has been very intensive 7 months, and I feel that I have learned so much, and I will try to share some of these lessons and experience with you. So as Epi said, the community is new, and I don't know how much you know about eco-villages. These are the places where people intentionally move to in order to live their lives sustainably in every aspect of life. There is like the environment of life, the buildings, the gardens, the economic part of life, how we deal with money, how we deal with each other, enterprises, everything that is in the sustainability topic. And it's a very, how to say, courageous move to do it, because eco-villages are not so common. And I have to say that the people that we moved into an eco-village with, we didn't have experience before, so it was completely a new thing for us also. And one of the things we had to start from the day one, because we moved to the eco-village on the 30th of August last year. So we actually had like one night to set up a school, because the 1st of September the school is supposed to start in Estonia. This is 1st of September in our new eco-village. We are all so happy. Today is going to start the school. We have a teacher, we have the children, and our main idea was this school has to be based on completely new values. It has to have the student in the center. The interest of the student is the most important thing. We have to follow the interest. So these small children, they were the most important part of our school. We had plans, how we are going to do it. We had expectations, visions in front of our eyes, how it's going to be. And the children didn't like it. They started protesting. They were like, we don't want this school, we want to go back to our old schools. We don't like it. Okay, we calmed ourselves down, we are doing it the first time, let's try something different, we planned differently, rearranged something, and the children still didn't like it. So we started investigating, what is this? We're giving our best, we are really trying to put the children in the center of the school. And what turned out, after some trying and talking and trying to find new ways, we found out that as a first thing, as lesson 1, freedom to learn is such a critical prerequisite for the learning to really happen, which means that during the process of children starting to protest, one by one, we gave children complete freedom to come to school or not. Complete freedom. And they didn't come. They didn't come for 1 week, for 2 weeks. And then slowly they started, but I feel bored by myself. I really want to be involved in something. I want to see what the others are doing. It might be exciting. And slowly they started to find their own inner curiosity and motivation to study. So this is something that was a very big new knowledge for us, that we were planning too much. We had our expectations. We actually have to give freedom to the child who is in the center of the school. And to trust the curiosity, that the curiosity is going to lead the process of learning for the child. And the second lesson that we learned during this process is that sustainability education is not really something that you do. It is something that is, if you let it be. And what I mean by this sentence is that you can't expect, plan, structure beforehand. Sustainable education starts with curiosity, with interest, and you don't know where it's going to take you. You have to give it freedom, and then it just happens. It rolls out very naturally. The teachers become teachers very naturally. The schedule becomes schedule very naturally, if it becomes at all. Maybe it doesn't become. It all depends on the children, their age, their interest at this point of time. So it has been a very big lesson for us to really calm down and trust. As parents, I am parents of 2 of these children who is going to our school. As a parent, I really struggled at first to completely trust my children that they have this inner curiosity, and they will learn if I give them freedom. Because as a parent, I always had in my head, I want them to learn this and that, and they have to be able to, I don't know, read and calculate and whatnot in this age that they are. So now I can say that we have given freedom to our children, and the school is starting to work after 7 months. I think it has been about 1 month that we can see that the children want to go. We have a kind of school, but it's even impossible to explain because we don't have a schedule, we don't have concrete teachers, but we do have a school, and it really is a school that we don't do actively. It's just is. So just some pictures of children when they are free, and they do have curiosity. They want to learn, they want to see how the world works, and they want to cooperate with each other. It's interesting to them. So what is this, our completely new school that we have to get used to? And I added here for everyone, because the main learning for this, with this new school, is a learning for the parents. Because I studied in a very, very completely different environment. With the Soviet time, the school is very, very different. So it's, as a first thing, it's a big lesson for the parents and the teachers, and then the children. What is this completely new school? In an eco-village, these are the things that describe the school. There is no place as school. There is no physical boundaries to the school, because children are on the spot all the time. With an eco-village and this kind of small community, the process of bringing children to the school is not like in the city, that in the morning you put the children in the car, you bring them to the school for the whole day, and in the evening they come back home. So you don't even see them for the whole day. They are somewhere with the teachers. In an eco-village, it doesn't happen like this. Children are always there around with the grown-ups. The grown-ups are doing their work, children are around, they come sometimes to learn from the grown-up, sometimes not, sometimes they do their own stuff. There are no physical boundaries to the school, it's everywhere. There is no start or end to learning. There is no that learning starts at 9 a.m. and ends at 1 p.m. Learning is everywhere. They are running around, they are talking to grown-ups. All grown-ups are teachers in a way, because the grown-ups are doing their own stuff in the eco-village. Some are working, some are gardening, some are cooking, some are doing handicraft. And children can go to every one of them. And another interesting process that is happening is that the teacher, the role of the teacher is disappearing. When you give freedom to the children, then they don't accept a teacher who is the king of the classroom, because they don't need a king of the classroom. They need a grown-up who is there to support their interest and their search for knowledge, to support in the best possible way, to help them find information, to help them grow. And in an eco-village, every grown-up is a teacher in every point of time. So as a grown-up, even if I'm not in the classroom, I really have to take a role that I am this kind of supporter of children in their development in every moment of time. It's just some pictures of how the life is in the eco-village. Children are everywhere involved in the activities with the grown-ups. The excursions that we take them all together because grown-ups also want to learn. It's not just a school of children, it's a school of the grown-ups also. A bike tour in the neighboring places. And the grown-ups that are going with these children, these are not parents of these children. They are just grown-ups who are in the eco-village and they are constantly in communication with the children. This is building the permaculture beds in the garden with the children. So just to pinpoint what is the sustainability in this approach to the school, because this conference is about sustainability education. Ecological sustainability. It's very important to realize why we are trying to save the planet. Are we trying to save the planet because of the fear of self-survival? Or is it really of the love and caring to all the what's living, the connectedness to the nature, that you really feel like you're part of nature? This is something that in a small community and in countryside can very easily happen. Nature is everywhere. Economical sustainability. The children are so interested in money, they are so interested in entrepreneurship. In an eco-village you have different enterprises because grown-ups are somehow earning their living. And children are part of it. Our children go, we have a raw chocolate factory in our eco-village. And children are always there to help, they get some money if they help, they want to know how the money comes in. It's a big learning for them from practice. The social sustainability. In a small community, it's not just teachers that are examples for the children as grown-ups. In an eco-village, children see a lot of grown-ups communicating with each other. They see grown-ups with each other being very honest, being authentic, hugging, giving feedback very honestly, setting their boundaries, and they learn from it. As opposed to the classroom where teacher is the only grown-up and they can't actually see the interaction between different grown-ups. So in an eco-village they see how the social sustainability is supposed to work. And personal sustainability, that they learn through this freedom that we give them. Who am I? What is my essence? What do I want in this life? What do I want to learn? All the learning becomes from that. Very quickly, I wanted to show you also that there are this kind of eco-villages and schools in eco-villages in all over the world. We are not the first ones and will not be the last ones. an example from Tamm in Portugal. Open learning spaces. Children choose what they want to do this day. A lot of materials, Montessori learning materials, where the child can independently learn with these. The teacher playing with them. Connectedness to the nature, that is very integral part of the school. Handicraft, that they actually do things, build things with their hands. These are examples from Portugal. This is where our eco-village is trying to strive to, but as we're so young, I don't have these pictures yet. I will, hopefully, next year. So, to conclude very quickly my presentation, what I want to give as a message is that for me, the lesson that I've got is that the personal and social sustainability are the key aspects. There should be a balance between all the sustainability aspects, but I feel that the personal and social have not been I'm forgetting words. Stressed not enough, that they should be stressed more. Learning starts from the inner freedom and curiosity. And I want to leave you with a question. I know that after presentations we'll have a little discussion. So I want to leave you with a question. What would you imagine that happens if we give every student in Estonia or in your countries, wherever you're from, complete freedom to go to school or not? Then afterwards we can discuss it. Thank you.
Thank you, Riinu. Before anybody can ask, I would just, from the curiosity, I would like to ask Riinu. There is a sentence, curiosity killed the cat. There are sometimes dangerous moments or untrustful moments that are really kind of how to solve it, how to handle it. Have you faced them in your school, and how have you handled these moments? The curiosity you point out, there is a very important aspect of curiosity, and if the curiosity is going so far that it might kill the cat, what happens?
Yes, I feel that even though the children are the drivers of their own development and education, the grown-ups are still the ones who actually have a knowledge and experience of different situations. So the grown-up is actually who knows that maybe it's not so good to run across the very fast highway. The child might not know it, but the grown-up knows. So definitely the role of the grown-ups is to be there to keep the structure of safety, to make sure that the children don't get hurt. Definitely, yes.
Thank you. Any questions, please?
Mihkel Kangur, Tallinn University, and now we are in university, and by the law, studying in university is free choice. Studying in elementary school is not a free choice, but the students are coming here to university, they should be free on their decisions. Could you give some suggestions or ideas what we could use in university on educating the students to learn from your experiences? Because there is lack of curiosity, there is lack of social thinking, understanding. The students are not curious.
I am also teaching in a university, in Estonian Business School. I teach social entrepreneurship. And every year when I start my course, I have such urge to go in front of the class and say, okay, only those who are really interested in the topic stay, the others, I don't care, just go out. Because there's no point of teaching anything if there's no interest, if there's no curiosity, there's no way. But I don't have a golden solution for it, because I don't know how a university can survive if it just expels half of the students, because and maybe it's not even the goal. Maybe the goal is to then awaken the interest. Try to awaken it. Try to see there is always interest. It's just somehow embedded somewhere deeper, somewhere where you have to bring it up from. But this means social and personal sustainability techniques. Like what is in you, what do you want from life, what are your worries, what are your dreams, all these discussions. And I don't know if university you have time and space for it.
Maybe you should set up a special kind of personal driver course. Like what is my inner driver, and then continue with other disciplines. For example, this is something that points out. Another question.
Yeah, my question is maybe a little bit somewhere left. My name is Gabriela, I'm Estonian. And I was thinking, like, when children are young, it's easier to work on the curiosity, but when they become teenagers, all the other things come in, and the curiosity maybe goes in different directions. I know your school is young still, but have you already thought about how to, I don't want to use the word tame, but maybe to guide that sort of teenager power in a way that, yeah.
I can only speak or see the experience of other eco-villages that have already teenagers in their school. And definitely they are doing different things, and the students have different curiosity. And there are students who leave eco-village schools because they have freedom to go to other school if they think that the other school is better. And this, as a parent, is also something that I have to accept, that it's okay if my child says that she doesn't want to live in an eco-village in the future, that she wants to create a different life for herself. But for example, in Tammera's goal as an eco-village is world peace, and in a very, very serious way. World peace, really. They are peace workers in all over the world. And in young age in school, the students want to go to do the peace work with the grown-ups already. They feel that they have a purpose in their lives. So they go along with this higher purpose of the eco-village, and they really feel empowered by it. So this is one way to engage also in a difficult age students. But I will get the experience in some years. So.
Thank you, Riinu. There's much more to share, so if anybody would like, there are coffee breaks and lunch breaks, and possible to communicate afterwards. And if anybody has anything to write down the note, there's a paperboard outside, and you can also give us any kind of comments or questions that might be given to the final panel discussion, because this is something that is very important in that kind of working environment that we have right now here. Something is rising up, and there must be some kind of outcome. The outcome might be during the final day, during the final panel session. So please, you are warmly welcome to give any kind of input for that. So thank you, Riinu, once again, and we move on. And we have a second presentation here today, and this is from Anna-Liina, Karl Nani, and Madli Ross. Joanna Helin, who has been given up for us the name, is not unfortunately coming, but the floor is yours. NGO Mondo and your experience. What has happened and what to share. Thank you very much.
My name is Madli, and I'm from the Estonian National Commission for UNESCO.
And I'm Madli, and I work in NGO Mondo.
And in this presentation, we will be very slightly tackling global education and how it's linked to sustainable education. And then Madli will introduce the practical examples of Mondo, that Mondo has been doing many years already in the field of sustainable education and global education. But first of all, to start off with a little bit, to make sure that we're all in the same page when we're talking about global education and education for sustainable development. then what is then meant internationally when talking about global education? Well, I think the name of the term already gives us a hint. It's education that is trying to tackle global issues, trying to raise awareness how global issues are connected with local issues, and how actually education can be there a force to help to create for all of us a better common future. So in that sense, global education is transformative and really empathizing on learners to act what they have learned. And we're now coming to the connection point with education for sustainable development, then I think, especially in Estonian context, the recent studies have shown that when talking and evaluating education for sustainable development, then very often we are concentrating on the nature preservation or environmental education aspect, but forgetting the other legs, so forth. So global education in that sense is trying to bring awareness about those other legs too. And there have been even discussions how to strongly bring in global education aspects to education for sustainable development. Slides are slightly cutting, but when talking about global education and ESD on the international level, then I think both terms are well known. Education for global citizenship is actually not a new term, but it has gained prominence due to the United Nations General Secretary initiative, Global First Education Initiative, highlighting that global competencies are key elements for the quality education in the future. And also, when looking to those terms from the UNESCO perspective, then they are very often seen as very, very strongly connected because they have many overlapping fields and competencies. And their aim to empower learners who will be active and responsible local citizens is really what is connected, besides many other elements, like emphasizing the skills for critical thinking, the importance of inquiry, and so on. And good news for all the ESD and global education supporters is also that in the new Sustainable Development Goals, one of the goals dedicated to education has sub-goals which are emphasizing the importance of those both educations. So that in a very practical level means that in the future we also have to start looking for ways to measure how the global education and ESD have been taught. So it is giving us some hope that the topic will be important also in the next coming 15 years. And from very theoretical to more practical, what UNESCO in that field is doing, well, we are doing it much in cooperation with NGO Mondo, but just to name two important networks which are fostering those principles. They are trying to create citizens who are more willing to create a more just and peaceful society. Then UNESCO associated schools project network has to be named. It's the biggest global network of schools. More than 9,000 schools and educational institutions belong to that. And this network is really trying to put in practice what UNESCO has stated in its preamble in the Constitution, which states that if it's in the mind of men to create wars, then it's also in the mind of men to build defense against that. So in that sense, education for sustainable development and global citizenship education have a vital role to play in creating a better world for all of us. So I think when I said that most of our activities in the network is family cooperation with NGO Mondo, then it would be a good moment to give a word to Madli, who will then talk about the exact activities that Mondo is doing. And as I said, our school networks are part also of those activities.
NGO Mondo is a development organization that's established in 2007. And that means that it's the first development organization in Estonia. And there are three main fields. One is development cooperation, the second is humanitarian aid, and the third field where Mondo works with is global education and awareness raising about global issues in Estonia. And we also have Global Education Center. It's located in the Creative City. And there's public space. We have library and documentary film collection. We also have the educational portal, Maailmakool, and there one can find background information concerning global issues. And also a different material where environmental problems are combined with societal problems and vice versa. And the main objectives of center is to increase the awareness concerning the challenges of globalization and to promote tolerance, respect for human rights and solidarity. And so it's important for us to raise the awareness that also little choices that every person makes can make a difference in a bigger scale. And in bringing up global citizens, Mondo mainly focuses on schools and teachers, and we provide teachers with study materials and teaching methods. We arrange workshops and school visitors. We have documentary films and exhibitions that teachers and youth workers can lend. And we also help schools in arranging different projects related to global education. For instance, schools arrange World Days, and then we mentor these projects and help to arrange it. But also we help to supervise student research in schools if the research is related to global issues. And for Global Education Center, also school weeks and teacher trainings are very important. And here are some examples of the materials that NGO Mondo has issued. We have different study materials for different levels, and the topics are or start from human rights, but also we have material about documentary films, and we also have a calendar notebook for middle school teachers. So there's really a variety of materials. And these Külla Congo Villa, so visit to Congo village, is a photo map about African village in northern Congo, and it has had a really good feedback from the students and from the teachers, and it's meant for primary school. And also we have Jätkusuutlikud cartoons for primary school, and it's we have also focused on primary school because we have had this kind of feedback that teachers find it really hard to take these global issues to primary school classroom because these problems are very complex and it can be very hard to open them with young people. And this is our high school material, Globalizing World. Globalizing World is an optional course for high school level. In the material there are 4 main themes. Population processes in globalizing world, economic division of the world, global consumer society, and global environmental problems. And the key methodological approach is that Mondo uses our project-based learning, case studies and problem solving, discussions and teamwork, and interactive games and video material. And now these have been more formal materials that Mondo has produced, but the center considers to be the best practices more informal methods. First is linking schools. So we have we are coordinating school links and school friendships between Estonian schools in Ghana, Kenya, Afghanistan, and Yemen. And so these students in different schools can have like this personal contact and personal experience, and they exchange letters and they share some projects and so on. Then the second thing that Mondo considers to be very helpful are teachers who go to developing countries as volunteers, so they can exchange experience and take their knowledge to Ghana, and also from Ghana back to Estonia. And the latest, we started in 2014. Mondo started a food blog where schools from different countries all over the world can share their thoughts about food, and there are issues about food security, but also cultural aspects related to food, like sharing recipes and sharing how they grow food in their own country and so on. Finally, what Mondo considers to be very important are teachers' training, the Lepa has carried out influence evaluation for Mondo, and the teachers who have passed the training on global education and global issues, they relate to global education 3 main themes. First of all, values. Second of all, interactive methods, and third, a certain type of information. So information about sustainable development, about social justice, multiculturalism, peace and conflicts. So these are the 3 main things that teachers have emphasized after participating in our trainings. And they also are convinced after the trainings that global education should be, the global educational themes should be taken more to the classroom. So in a nutshell, important are up-to-date materials and interactive teaching methods, links between schools, and so also personal experience and opportunities for teachers as well as students to be active.
Thank you, Madli and Annalisa. If there are any questions, please, you are welcome to ask.
So what do you think about what is inside of this global education, what is inside of this sustainable development education? I didn't see what you had this kind of nice picture there, but
didn't see it, so.
Yeah, I think global education builds on many existing fields. So because of the content of the global education, trying to tackle global issues, it is taking elements from human rights education, from peace education, from environmental education, because the content which global education is targeting is connected with those educations. And the connection point with ESG could be when we're talking about, for example, cultural or economical or social sustainability, so, and of course environmental. But as I said, in Estonian context, we are very much used to talk about environmental sustainability and the other parts. That would be, in our view, much more integrated.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
How do you get in touch with the schools and what is their motivation for working with you?
Yeah, well, since the globalizing world, it's also an optional course in high school. So that's one reason why teachers are interested in our material. And also we have a Global Education Center of NGO Mondo has worked for 7 years. So we have had time to really network and get some good context.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to say that both the ESG and global education are part of our national curricula. So, and as Madli was saying, there is a free elective subject for global issues which students can choose. So that also motivates the teachers. But from our perspective, from the UNESCO Associated Schools Network project perspective, it is challenging to motivate and find the motivational links to activate schools. But I think it helps if the general environment, including the school principal, is supporting being part of the network. So yeah, that is something that we have there.
Thank you, Anna-Liisa and Madli. Yes, and our next speaker will have Tamm from Swedish region called Jätkusuutlikud, Solvik School, and the experience is more or less related with other education, but not only. Yes, so please, go record.
Yes. First of all, thank you for coming. Thank you for the invitation. I didn't know about this conference.
Yeah, sure.
And I was thinking now that it's really stupid that I don't have a map. I don't know if you can imagine Sweden here and where Stockholm is. In this place where what I'm talking about is like 50 kilometers south from Stockholm. There's a lot of water in the area and a kind of cliffy landscape, but not very high. Perhaps here in the picture you can see. I'm originally from Estonia and been growing up in Lahemaa National Park, which is a beautiful area in North Estonia and near the seaside. So sea for me is something which has to be always. And Jana is a nice place where you can always go out, walk to the sea. And how did I come to this place? Because I didn't, I wasn't one of the founders. This place, just a little bit about the past. It was the Waldorf movement in Sweden is rather old, and but places in Järna started to evolve when in Germany they had this
very difficult times, and disabled people were forced to move. And then one of the places they moved was Jätkusuutlikud. A lot of small or now quite big institutions were established by that time. And then it was like this community was growing anthroposophic ideas based on Rudolf Steiner's writings from the beginning of 1900s. And 70s, when it was this the wave of kind of hippie movement, but also back to nature movement, and people were very much enthusiastic about the environment, kind of also boosted the young and a lot of new initiatives were starting at that time. And also this school where I'm now representing here is coming with the same wave then. People started to question the traditional education more and more and wanted to find new ways. But of course it was not only about learning, education, it was a combination of everything. It's kind of a holistic approach to architecture, agriculture, you name it. So culture also to find new paths for the future. It's not a good topic, this conference also. So people were really experimenting a lot and being really brave. So now I have been doing interviewing, talking to people, going around a lot, and people who were they still, many of them still are working. They're quite high age right now, it's their 80s, 70s. But they talk of this interest to start the school, because all the children have to go to the school. How can we make a school which would provide children learning environment and this safe space? And they took ideas from different parts of, there were a lot of inspiration from other, like you were telling, also from other schools, but also they came out of their own experiences and a lot like what was in the school, what I didn't like, what would I like to do differently. So this was, part I have found now in book, it's quite hard to find building materials, so I've been really working hard to discover tracks from on the way. So this book is in Swedish. It's kind of trying to describe education at the time there. And then it was children's life at school. And Merete Löfli, Per Album, Robert Hogepost, and Tamm, they were giving, publishing and writing describing what is happening in the school. It is a quite practical book and very interesting to read even today, because it's describing how they were working with children at the time. And then Solvik School was established. It's, as you can see, this picture, it's like, it's a nature resort. Yeah. So, near the seaside, it's a little bit in the forest, and there has been a farm before there, or kind of summer cottage. But then they were able to buy this land with the help of a lot of people and started to build that. And today, I once counted there, we have about 9 houses or something there. People are not living, some people are living also in the school, but mostly it is the children come there during the day. They have to, yes. And then they started this building process, and it was really interesting because they were also very much experimenting with construction work and architecture then. And I have discovered the letters of Per Album at the time, where he was kind of very
interestingly describing this process of construction work, also relating music and architecture, for example, which is rather interesting, but also then very much of that non-violent construction work. And then at the time, they were really first, they were like really working with hands and moving, going back to the not having machines at the working area and having horses and also, of course, children were every day involved in the construction process, and here is one class building their house. It was very much also to work with the landscape. It was not just to build a house, but also how to work with the ground so that it will be, the houses will be warm, and you know, all of these constructional questions were discussed already at the time, also from the sustainability perspective, you might say. But also a lot about what does it mean for a human being to be in this building, for a human development. How does this affect me if I'm in this space? And there are no squared spaces there, like you can see very, very much in the modern architecture. Also, the classrooms were designed so that they were thinking very much about how could children best learn. And in some of the classes, or nearly all the classes, the windows are a little bit higher, so it's like you cannot all the time watch out, but actually you have beautiful views to the nature around the school from all the windows, and how the light is coming in, and all of these small details were carefully considered. So if you come to the school today, you can see that every small detail they have really taken time to think about it, and a lot of beautiful handcraft also. The windows are round, which is very hard to make. It's much easier to buy a squared window, but it is it gives another feeling to be in a space which is unique in a way. So at present, I am the head of the school board at this moment. It's my second year. My own daughter finished the school last year. I'm a very happy parent now. She's going to Mondo school. It's a school which is also quite close. In Järva area, there are many Mondo schools or alternative schools and kindergartens. And we have 108 students last week. So, and about 35 co-workers who are nearly everybody working with children. So it is very usual that in one classroom we have 2 teachers plus some subject teachers also. And I think it's a very good opportunity to work with each child so that they get attention. And Merete Lovely, who was one of the founders of the school, she's headmaster for now, I think, for some years. And it's very interesting to see. It's not a hierarchical model what we have, but the headmaster is a kind of a communicator between the officials and the school teachers collegium. And it has been working very well. So I think there is a person who is very good communicator to the bureaucracy world. Then I think it's a possibility for everybody, and also to be able to translate what is happening in the school, because sometimes it might you don't understand how is it working or what are they doing now. Like when it's really free and everybody can go out and there is no like rows of the chairs and so on, because children are moving very much. So she can kind of translate what is happening in the space to this official language, so that it will be understandable for school inspectors. Now we have actually inspectors this year, and the results so far are very good. We are actually following all of the Swedish laws. So it's like you cannot do a school with outside of the laws of your country. So it's part of this process is also to kind of be not just to look at other schools, but to try to really understand what is this curriculum about. What do we want to do? Because this is very often in the national curriculum is this opportunity which people, our teachers, don't use. And also it's the same issue in Estonia, not that you are used to do school like that and this is how it should be, but actually it is much broader and not very much used. So yes, we call this approach creative Waldorf education. Creative Waldorf education in that respect that sometimes we are not even called Waldorf school because it's like too creative for Waldorf people. And I have been describing that Waldorf has a kind of a conservative wave and also then the more open, creative way where people are more experimentative. And it's a kind of, we are more in this other way. And of course in Swedish, in Sweden you don't have to pay for this school. I don't have to pay for the papers or pens or anything. This school is for free, whatever kind of school. And of course then as a Waldorf school we have this tradition to work. Still the parents help to take care of the school, even though now the construction process is it's not so hard work every day that you have to build or something. But 3 times a year there are working days where the parents are helping in the school garden and so on. And then we have a huge like Christmas play, which is every year a big event, and is everybody at the school are on the stage basically. And then of course we have many visitors from all over the world, because this school is a very interesting opportunity to see what you can do inside of the framework that is there. And here I took some pictures. Now there are already for I think around 20 years so intuitive pedagogy courses going around in Italy, Estonia also, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Germany, different countries, then also in Sweden. And this is something that's a bad album. This is one of the founders of the school, Sinika and Merete, she's director, also an artist. Have been teaching out now, talking about their experiences, but mostly it is about doing. It's about movement, it's about play a lot, what kind of games are there which allow you to really experiment with your borders without putting it back to some kind of boxes and so on. Here you can see one summer course with all different materials are involved, and it's a very creative process. Sinika is actually a music teacher working with voice. Yes. So I think it's the teachers who are like the first generation teachers in Solvik School. They are really inspiring persons, and they are very much still around the school and working with children, their parents and the teachers. Here you can see the Christmas play. This is I don't know if you can see. And now actually this year we have started the construction process again. And we have had a ground waiting for some years now, which in the beginning was like a grand project with totally different design as it has today. And now we have worked with an architect which we have had all the time. So all the buildings are being designed by one parent. And we are looking for the ways to continue because the school is growing. We need more space. Here is the 9th class. Actually, this is my daughter's class when they finish. And the school start and the school finish. When the school finishes, like coming together a party where all the parents. We have a lot of parents with many children. Yes. So it's everybody meet, and because we have only 100 students, so everybody knows everybody also around. So it's not at all anonymous group of people, and it's like a big family coming together, and everybody is bringing some food and bringing some stories, and this. Yes, it's a kind of very vibrant. Community, a lot of artists, a lot of musicians also, because this creative Waldorf education, then I try to pick some keywords. It's not so easy, and of course you can pick whatever kinds of different kinds of words out of it. But I think what is this is at that moment I was thinking like play is central to the school, and the first. Let's say 3 years, play is most what is happening in the classroom, and the learning is kind of accelerating in the last. We have a basic school. It means like in the last 7, 8, 9, like 9th class, it's coming like more and more to this traditional curriculum than work. And what is interesting when I look at the results of national exams, which we also have, and they are really good, and it is meaning that actually this curve is working, that children still have the very interest for everything. They're looking, they're very curious, and then, but this intellectual abstract thinking is not developing so early, so it's easy. It's good if it is starting a little bit later. So the first there's a lot of playing before going around, like getting to know each other, the class, the others in the school, and then only later it becomes sitting at behind the table and writing something. But of course, play is also very common for the 9th graders. There's like school garden is full of children playing at all ages, so it's not just small children who are playing there. Communication is a key word. We were just talking that Swedish educational system is very child-centered in general when you compare to many other countries in the world. So, but in our school it is also very important. It is like emphasized that the children and the relations between the children, between the teachers and the children, like all the relations, is a very important part of the school, like the social, getting along with each other, because we have to come to the school. Actually, there is no, you have to come to the school. It's like, by the law, you are forced to come to the school. So it's like, I think it's good to work with each other so that you really learn to appreciate each other and take care of each other's needs. And I think this is what the teachers are very good at also at the school. I'm always amazed how good relationship they have with the children and the parents. Art is a big part, music, outdoors. Every morning they go from the bus stop 1 kilometer through the forest. It's like every morning and every afternoon the children are going to the nature with the teachers, and the teachers come to meet them in the bus stop, and then together they go. The whole school comes together to this school houses, and there's very beautiful nature around, and it's like you can go to the fields or to the cliffs or to the seaside. It's like very it's not very monotone. It's like you really have different possibilities there. Handcrafts is a very important part. They do metalwork, woodwork, also this sewing, all this. I think it's very common in Mondo School. We have it also. Natural materials is a very natural part of the school, and of course ecological food, which not everywhere is so common, but in Jana community I think more and more it is something that is taken for granted, and you really learn to make a difference between the real food and the other kind of food. Yes, so the future. For me, of course, being part of this community is how we can continue, because you're always a kind of, there are always small conflicts, a bigger conflicts, there are always kind of movements which you have to be aware of. It's like kind of going along and trying to find your way together with the others. Of course, every year we are, all the time we are asking, what is this creative art of education, what we are doing? And this, of course, it is the question for the teachers every day. What am I doing here? And because it's teachers have very much much more open possibilities. It is not like somebody dictates them exactly what to do. So it's much more for each person to decide every day. This freedom Riinu was talking about this. It means that you have to decide every day that I want to come here, I want to do this. And it's like, of course there is a flow with certainties, but it's a conscious decision also to come and to do something. And now also we started this archives and kind of research work a little bit coming. And the construction work continues. Here you can see our architect, Lepa. And now we are looking for finances. So everybody who knows how to find millions, please come to me. If you have 1 million or 2 or 10, we are very much in need right now for this. Yes, and thank you. And if you wish to come to the school, please contact me, and we are very happy to have guests. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evelin. It's a very interesting experience, and I warmly recommend to visit Solvik School, because I've been also they're part of their intuitive pedagogic courses, and this is something that's really neat to experience, not only to hear of somebody's doing something, but just to be there, present there, properly. Then you can experience how what it is, how it works. But any questions, please? Yes.
Yeah, so I've also been to Vienna, so I know about the area and so on, and my question is more for the community side, because there's also quite a big older community and older school there, and the town itself, which are like very different sustainable initiatives. So how is your communication or involvement in the broader community, and how do you communicate, for example, with the older school, and what are your connections in there?
Yes, it is always this question, how you connect to the other initiatives. And there are so many. There are local initiatives, very small scale, different kinds of, and also global initiatives. And we have been cooperating with many of them. Also many very interesting initiatives have been kind of growing out of Solvik School from the beginning. So, and yes, now we have this, one thing is this new newspaper which has, it's like just telling people what we are doing, is like having very many readers, but all these intuitive pedagogy courses are also open to everybody to come. We also go to other things which are happening around, and when you think about parents and teachers, it's a very big group of people, and they are all kind of connected to all of these different initiatives also. So it's, I don't know.
Do you have also like any joint projects or events where you all come together or you organize something together? Not just like we organize it here and there, or how does it work?
You mean in Järna?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a small community, it's thousands of people and there's very many different, there is some kind of, there are some steps. Some people want to kind of put it all together, but I don't see it like that. I think it's like a small ball what you are doing, which is growing inside and it's happening so much, and it's like very difficult to put it in one very in one space. I don't see it. It's a very vibrant environment, but it is not something like one conference. Yes.
Any other questions, please? Yes.
I think that sounded all really super amazing, and I would really love to visit your school. Just a question, do you somehow choose your students, or you have to take in all the students that you have in this region, or how does it go?
Right now we are accepting children for the first class, and we have, I think this year 17 children in the first class who have already signed up. We don't know. Now the teacher are meeting the parents and the children in May, meeting them. But basically this so that we don't do any. Nearly everybody can come, but of course it is up to the class teacher. For example, if you come later, like my daughter was coming, she joined the school at the 5th grade, so we were meeting the teacher, and teacher decided if the class is able to accommodate the student. So because we also have disabled children, for example, children from different countries, so it is also this teacher who decides that I can take an extra student. But generally we don't have any.
So you don't have like an admission exams, how do you select them?
No, not at all. No, everybody are welcome, yes. And this is why the school has to grow, because now every year we have had our school classes are not so big. And it means that if there are more students, we have to have more space for them. This is how it's working. It's not in the city that thousands of people will rush into it. This is a small school with 108 students in the countryside. Yes.
Thank you for interesting presentation. I don't know much about the schools in such areas. So I was wondering, do you get some support from the government, from the state?
Of course.
To pay the salaries to teachers and...
In Sweden it is so organized that all the schools get support from the government. This is why it can be free for the parents and the children, the families. And I think it's a very democratic way to do education, and they also call themselves that this is one of the aims, that the parent can choose whatever kind of education which is fitting the frame. Somewhere there are borders, but it is quite free. So I think it's a beautiful system, which is difficult in Sweden, that you're not allowed to teach a child at home, which is really surprising when I learned about it. That homeschooling is not allowed, this is illegal in Sweden. But of course there are very many alternative schools which you can choose.
Anything else?
I have one more question, because I read also from your abstract that you don't have mobile phones and very little of technology use in the school. How is that, like, maybe fighting from the general pressure, and do you have, like, is it difficult to remain like that, or do you have, like, teenagers wanting to bring their iPhones or something, or like, how do you deal with that?
It is, of course, a discussion all the time, and I think it can be like that either. So we have a lecture this week, today, 23rd. There are people who have been doing research about the topic in Sweden are coming to talk, and then this is a kind of negotiation going on. And some years ago there were no computers at the school. Now there are computers, because there are some children whose parents don't want the children at all to have technology. It means that we anyway have to provide them with skills which they don't get from home. We have very different kinds of families there. But the computers are not part of the classroom every day, and the same with the mobile phones. So, but it is discussed all the time, and I think this is we were talking about this changing environment. This is what you have to do with everything. That it is not like, oh, this is it, and now that's decided. This is exactly to ask how is it today, how are the children doing, but I'm advocating against computers in the kindergartens and at least in the first level of basic school, because children have so many hours behind the screens at home. So I see that the schools today need to take action to provide children the possibility to move, to go to the nature, to work with their hands, to develop their senses. So school has to change because of the technology, not towards the technology, but to support children's development, you might say, but growing. Which there is one very one-sided development right now, which I am very concerned about myself also.
I mean, schools need to be more supporting kind of students' natural being.
Yes. Also, the ordinary experiences. I mean, go and meet, go to the farm, go outside. I think this is why this environmental education or education for sustainability, or I don't know. This is why it is so important, because now it's kind of I think the society is kind of moving to the level where we are dehumanized by technology. So it's because part of being human is having body. We have to really fight to maintain our bodies. I know this myself because I have been sitting behind the computer for years, and now I decided to start to build wooden boats, and I see the difference you get when you sometimes work with your hands or go out to the nature, sailing or whatever. So I think it's very important to be aware of it, more and more, and not just I use computer, of course, and I think it's a very important tool, but you have to see also the dangers that are connected to it.
Yeah, it's important to know that it's just a tool.
Exactly. Yes?
Any other questions? Yes, please.
I want to ask if you have any contact with the normal schools in Sweden, outside the Walder community, kind of, because I feel like quite often these schools, they're great, and I'm a strong believer in them, but then they're quite isolated in what they do, and I think mutual contact with them both.
Yes, I think we have also many visitors from ordinary schools. I myself have been sometimes going to ordinary schools, but I'm always so surprised of how different experience it is. I'm getting kind of what is normal and what is not normal. It is changing when you move in another environment. So everybody who I know care about the environment. They do action locally and globally. They think about alternative possibilities for education nearly every day. So it's when you live in a sustainable community, kind of working on it every day. So you think that it is everywhere, and then you go, oh sorry, it's very interesting. I do it sometimes. But and then you switch the picture, what is normal and what is not normal. So I think where I live is totally normal. This is why I invite you to visit the normality.
Is there any? Yes,
So, how do you handle these questions with the children themselves?
What do you mean?
What is normal?
When they grow up in an eco-village and they're schooled in the eco-village, and when this becomes a total normality, And how do you introduce them to like the normal society and the conflict and the shock that it can bring?
I have a very personal experience I can share right now. My daughter went to the school first at Stockholm in a very ordinary, not so very ordinary, but very good gymnasium, which she had chosen. I thought also it was a very good decision, and because she wanted to see the ordinary school. And I think after the 9th class, the children are really eager to go to the world. They're not. It's not like, what will happen to us now we have been here? It is different. It's like they are very open. They look forward to get out there, to go continue their studies. Nearly everybody doing it. They are really creative, really eager to learn, which is uncommon to the 9th graders. And you were talking here that teenagers, perhaps they don't. I don't know this question. It is not true. But children want to learn. People want to learn. Everybody wants to learn. Also the grown-ups. So it's like it's dependent on this environment where you are. And then she went to Stockholm first. Was going there, and then she soon discovered that it's just very much tests and a lot of travel because she had to travel for 4 hours every day. She decided now to go back to Mondo school, which is like, I can see from the windows. And then she can sleep very, very long. She really appreciates it now. And going there and coming back and saying, I really enjoy doing clay work, like handcrafts, which they didn't have at all. I really enjoy that everybody are talking to everybody. Different community. So it's interesting that in a way it is like they go out there, they see what it is. It's not surprising really. It's because you're not. It's not like an isolated island. It's like I don't see it like that. Yes, but. Of course, when I think of more radical, because there are also very radical approaches to education, or some families are very radical. But I don't think we in our school we have such cases, which are like, and the kind of this overprotectiveness when it starts. But I think this doesn't exist in our school culture, because this is playfulness and to go out, to be interested, and this is helping people to go and see what is elsewhere.
Yes. Thank you, Evelin. I guess we can conclude, somehow summarize the morning session here, so that if there is enough awareness from the community, from the local small society that is carrying out the school or let's say not protecting, but rather than pushing people towards the society, then we can say that curiosity doesn't kill the cat if the curiosity stays there. And this is a good experience from Solvik School, and also from different other schools in Estonia, for example, Rosno School or other schools that have already 25 years experience behind. This is also something that is quite remarkable in the situation where every day in education we somehow need to achieve some kind of results all the time, like PISA tests, whatever, different things. But then there is a small human being growing as a flower, and all these kind of results around him or her, this is just a little bit like a buzz. The question is how this little flower will grow up and will start shining one day. So have a nice lunch.